That's it?
You can use my slide.
I think that's tough for me.
No problem.
Oh, well, but
That's a good one.
let's start.
Maybe we change speakers.
Why don't we start and we will.
Okay, I hope that I get my slides. My name is Harri Kopola. I'm coming from Technical Research Center of Finland and working as a Vice President Research in a business area called Knowledge Intensive Products and Services. So it means all these ICT and electronic technologies and health diagnostics related activities. So VTT is a government research center, and we are that kind of central research center in Finland. It's about 2,600 researchers and workers in this organization, and we are running a special mission under the mandate of Ministry of Employment and Economy in Finland. So I could thank you very much, the chairman, of very good introduction about IoT world and IoT solutions and applications. And of course, my duty as a representative of research center is to talk about with a technology vision. And I think that all these important things, sensors, connectivity, security, data analytics, and the use of big data are important technology areas we need building solutions and these applications. And thinking from Finnish perspective, for example, this sensors field, that we have a lot of this telecom and terminal know-how in this country, and to build this kind of wireless sensors, zero power sensors, sensor networks is in the core of our hearts, and we want to contribute in that space to build those and manufacture and fabricate those trillion sensors in the future. But Kari mentioned also this connectivity, and I think that this comes when we go to this kind of real-world systems. For example, we have demonstrated a solution for Singapore Harbor. You can see here in the second hotspot that we built a system to help them to handle the autonomous ground vehicle, how they call their machineries there in the harbor, that these can operate with a productive way and not colliding with each other, and that way, that connectivity and safety and things like that are very important, that there is very short times that you have to keep going and online. This data analysis together with industry, we have seen that there is still a lot that everybody wants to operate in their own silos or in their own context, and we should somehow explode these things and start to look at from the edge of the cloud, the whole value chains, how we can make those much more efficiently. And I think that it's a question of business revolution. That what kind of business models, how we share the revenues and so on. I think that it's the hottest question to open this challenge, what Kari mentioned about these applications, that to take these in real use and start being the party who is opening the roads from snow, at least here. So we have been active at VTT for this space, and we have been running with 3 application areas, this asset management together with industry, connected health, and digital society. I have one example to illustrate in real life that if we are thinking MS patient, a patient which needs strong medication, that how we could help, is it a service or application or solution, but how we could help his everyday life. That we should have somehow these advices, and we selected this kind of solution built on iPhone platform so that we have a mobile phone. But what we need for the application, we have to measure the medication level from blood. So it means that you need a lab on chip to make the physical measurement, and then you need that kind of readout. You need to combine with that iPhone camera that you can really read that reliable measurement result. And then you need a user interface to collect the feelings and symptoms and side effects, what the patient can report to the system. And then we need this kind of cloud-based service or data analysis and guidance service to help him to function right way. The second thing I'm stressing is already mentioned earlier this morning, these infrastructures, and we have been building and are building the 5G test network here in Oulu. This restricted network is in VTT premises and this open network at the university premises, and we are building this with that mindset that we could plug in these different application sets to be part of that infrastructure and platform. One case is this printers and pilot factory. It's a printed intelligence and printed electronics pilot factory. It's a global benchmark that we think that these technologies we can use in the future to fabricate those trillion sensors. And we are building this as an Industry 4.0 case for our research purposes and for different application testing. Then we have this kind of HILA program. It's a tool to accelerate business creation together with the industry groups or that kind of high growth companies, and we want to accelerate business creation by trying to take better use of that and make sure that the research to business combination and these shortening these timescales, and that way helping our industries to be stronger in these opening businesses in this space. We have 4 special application areas: this wireless, ICT, automotive, health, and industry. And then I have the final thing. This is for ourselves, the digital technology professionals, that we should challenge ourselves also, that are we doing right things and so on. That if I look my grandkids, they are watching their smartphone hours per day. They cannot anymore stay straight when they are working there, that we should do something. And we got idea about this kind of naked approach that world, because now we are very much gadget-centric. And we had a brainstorming session, and we think that the service should find us. So that we want to see a world in future. This is very vision-driven thing, that gadget-free, ubiquitous, natural digital environment, which provides us all that information, tools and services what we have accustomed to see and have in digital world. But we want to live naked, without terminals, without gadgets. This thinking, behind this thinking, there is also some things I point out, that I want to own and have complete control on my data, because everything is connected. There's sensors everywhere. So I think that the chairman of the morning session was saying that he don't want to show what she has in her refrigerator. So this system must respect my values. And there must be a rules, legislation, digital privacy and domestic peace legislation that I can live in this world. Former US Ambassador of Finland mentioned after listening us that it looks that you have Internet of No Things. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I like the presentation who are finishing on a taste of humor. Thank you. I turn now to Gerald Santucci, who is going to give us some hints on the state of European policy trends and more. Gerald, for a few minutes.
Thank you, Jean-Pierre. The slides are there, so I don't need to borrow the slide from Antti. Thank you very much anyway. Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a bit curious for me to be here this morning talking about the Internet of Things, because I did that several times, not in the same place, but in the same forum. And today I find a lot of people talking about it, so it has come into the mainstream. And even this morning, I was extremely happy to hear Audrey and Luis and Yoshio, among others, who talked about the Internet of Things. I think that to be heard in the future, we need to find another topic or to invent a new acronym. Anyway, the IoT, well, it's common sense to say that it has a large potential. In fact, it must be recalled that it was invented in 1999 by a European, Kevin Ashton. It was when he was working for Procter & Gamble. And then it was lost for some years, and it was reinvented by ITU in 2005, and then by the European Commission in 2007. It was used by China in 2009, and since then, it is used everywhere in the world. So it's not so old, and at the same time, when we look back, it is still almost 20 years ago that it has been at least coined, not as a concept, but as an acronym. The IoT DNA. Yeah, I think IoT can be the best possible feedback on my physical and mental health, the best possible deals based on real-time monitoring for resource allocation, the best possible decision-making based on real-time data and information, and the best possible alignments of my local providers with the global potential of wider community. So it's a lot of things. And therefore, I like to see the Internet of Things in essence as a seamless flow between the body level, the BAN, like the ambient hearing aid or the smart T-shirts, the local level, the LAN, like the smart meter has a home interface, the wide level, the WAN, the bike, the car, train, bus, now the drone, and the V1, the very wide area network, the smart city. So it is all across the disciplines, the locations, the levels of distance. It is everywhere. You will find a lot of studies telling you the value of the IoT. I put here some data, but you will find others. It doesn't matter much. What is impressive, perhaps, is the acceleration of the marketability of IoT technology and applications. Today, whoever ensures traceability, sustainability, and security linking up the gateways is de facto and de jure, by fact and by law, the new power. We are going to see today Google trying to achieve this with a glass and lens, the Google Power Meter and Nest, the car and automotive, and the wooing discourse of public office by Eric Schmidt and Google.org. I think this is all good, but it is also crucial that we organize to create a public competitor to these gateways to ensure that the future will be democratic, open, and inclusive. So here I talk as a public servant, if I may say. I think it's good that the private sector is investing a lot in IoT. We can't avoid it, and this is good for all. But we need also to ensure that competition is there and the public sector is present in order to ensure the values I have indicated to you. In terms of the future, as I said, IoT vision in 2020, 20 years have gone, and like I would say in an old novel by French author Alexandre Dumas, 20 years after. But the IoT is not there, and the chair stressed so rightly that we need to test IoT. But if I believe him that 90% of the Finns, who are for me the best advanced in the world for ICT in general, if 90% of the Finns can describe IoT in their own words, I'm afraid that for many people in Europe, the figure would be more than 100%. Now, we certainly need to look at IoT not alone and as an isolated island, but also together with cloud and big data. What is important today, in a way, is that connectivity and intelligence have been added to products. New sources and value-added digital services exist, like the smartphones with their app stores. But I think that a radically new approach for these issues IoT is coming into the factory, into transport, into healthcare, everywhere. So my question, and I'm not sure I have an answer, but I think one of the key questions we should have about IoT, because connectivity and smartness is today into the products, where the value will come from in the future. As you certainly all know, the Commission has worked a lot on the Internet of Things. In fact, that was since 2005. On one hand, in research, and on the other hand, as policy support on the standards. There was also, during 2 years, an IoT expert group that worked on the governance of the IoT, and there was a lot of cooperation with many countries in the world. Now, again, where will the value come from in the next decade, if I may say, because I understand that we have a $9 computer coming soon, so the value will not be in the product. Where will it be? This is my question of the day, if you want. Standards and interoperability are extremely important. HC has been working on that over the past year, and some results are coming. HC is also very much involved in the working group number 3 of the new Alliance for IoT Innovation, so-called AIoTI, and some reports have been published in a few days ago, I would say. There is a lot of work to do on standards. That was also stressed in the session 1 this morning. In terms of the future, what are we going to do in the Commission? There was a call this year, which was a successful one. But next year, the budget, the public funding of IoT will double compared to what it has been this year, because there will be a lot of work on IoT, not only as a topic alone, but as a so-called focus area. So it will cooperate with a number of other topics across Edge 2020 in Europe. And therefore, I think we join here the request and the expectations of our chair that we look more at testing and demonstration. This will be done in the context of large-scale pilots, where, in fact, this morning also, I think it was Jürgen Andersen, he stressed that we need to go for multidisciplinary research combined with active experimentation. This is what we are going to do. We are looking large scale. We are willing to go for global standards. We want to involve all the stakeholders. Now, you know that this will take time. This is not easy. What is important is not that we aim at getting a result soon, because I don't think that the results will come soon, but I think it is time to start, and that we can expect, if we maintain the momentum, to have some good results before the next 4 to 5 years. On what we need to do in Europe, what we are doing, in fact, no surprise. The privacy, trust, security, building an ecosystem which doesn't exist well in Europe today. So we are working hard on that, thanks in particular to the AIoTI. I had a thought a few days ago when I heard, this problem about Volkswagen. Because the US EPA found that the cars with a certain type of diesel engines had been fitted with a device designed to reduce emissions of nitrogen oxide, the NOx, under testing conditions. And that tells me something. It tells me that what matters is not only that we work on data, on standards, on research, on guaranteeing that the privacy of people is ensured. It is to realize that the data may be wrong at source. At source. That is, if the data is wrong from the very beginning, everything we do on data, and you know that the data doesn't remain alone very long. It will be analyzed, it will be shared and processed again. So comes a moment when the decision making that is made is done on wrong basis. So we have not only to look at the reliability of the data as we get it, we have to check that the data at its very source is also correct. And I hope that the standards bodies in the world, Allsyn Alliance, OIC, ETSI, and so on, will look at this issue. So, of course, here you can see that our program of action for the next few years is gigantic because we have to look at policy actions, we have to build a strong industry, we have to link with the existing infrastructures, and we have also to continue to work hand in hand with the US and China and Taiwan and the others, because as I said when I started to talk about IoT not long ago, I felt a little bit alone. Today, the entire world is in it. This is good, but now we need to really work collectively to make sure that there will be eventually one Internet of Things and not multiple intranets of things. Thank you.
Thank you. The size of our panel is a guarantee that it has started. Exactly what you were looking for. Now I will ask Mr. Samuel Lorincari to tell us a few words about how a company like the one he works for, eBay, is integrating and eventually commenting public policies in Europe as they are.
Thank you. I actually don't have any slides, so if you can sell them to me, that would be fantastic. So I work for eBay, and I'm going to dumb it down a notch because I'm a lawyer turned lobbyist, so I won't be able to comment on the high technical levels that we had so far in the morning. But what I do want to say is, the angle that I want to bring to this discussion is what the Internet of Things and the sort of development from products to products as services means for the retail industry and specifically for online platforms like ours. Maybe just a couple of words about eBay before I get started into the Internet of Things world is that many of you probably will know eBay, the online marketplace, but many of you may also remember it as a sort of online flea market of the 90s, which it is no longer. So most of our business nowadays is business to consumer. It's mostly small businesses selling new products at fixed prices to consumers. So our online platform is leveraged by hundreds of thousands small businesses, only in Europe, hundreds of thousands of European small businesses to access consumers in other markets in Europe and globally. So what that means is that, we, as a philosophy and a driving force of creating a platform and growing it, and reaching the level where we last year enabled $84 billion of commerce on our platform, has been to create an open platform that allows everyone to participate in global trade. So allowing everyone to participate in global trade. So we're institutionally opposed to any kind of barriers to trade, anything that prevents businesses and consumers to sell products to other people. And in 20 years in the history of eBay, so we were founded actually pretty much exactly 20 years ago, we've encountered a number of things, a number of ways people try to prevent other people from trading, whether they're legal barriers, such as customs duties or prohibitions to sell certain things online or different product rules, or contractual barriers, manufacturers limiting the resale of their products online or limiting the resale of their products into certain territories, or having some sort of technical measures to prevent further resale of their products. And this actually now brings me to Internet of Things and the perspective we've been looking at it, the development of when goods become services. So Gerald mentioned the Volkswagen car. I always like to talk about the Tesla because like Teslas, I don't have one, I would like to have one. So this happened sometimes last year. They noticed that something in the adapter caused excessive heat when it was charging. And that sort of they had to recall, or the authorities wanted Tesla to recall cars because of that defunction. What Tesla did is they sent an email basically, or sent an update to the users asking them to update their software. And the problem was fixed. So no need to take the car to the garage and take it back, have it fixed and take it back. The problem was fixed with a software update, which I think is fantastic. That's a great consumer experience, right? Great user experience. No friction. But imagine you want to sell that car and Tesla says, actually, no, I don't want you to sell that car. I want the other person to buy a new car from me. I'm going to switch off the software, or I'm going to make it worse, or I'm going to disable some functionalities. So basically the connectivity that comes in the world of the Internet of Things and the control over the good has huge impact on the way we understand ownership in things and then transferability of ownership. Another example is there's a company called Amazon, some of you might have heard of. They have a product called Kindle and ebooks. And a while ago, this was actually a couple of years back, sorry for the old example, but a lady purchased a book on her Kindle. And after paying for the book, it was suddenly removed from her Kindle catalog because it had put in it was placed in the catalog by a third party who didn't have the rights to distribute the book. So it's basically like you go to a bookstore, you buy a book, put it in your shelf, and then next day someone comes and wants the book back. Nowadays, apparently they don't remove these catalogs automatically anymore, but that's another example of how the control of the thing remains with the manufacturer or the distributor of the goods. So ownership in things becomes actually some sort of a licenseeship. You don't own things in the world of Internet of Things. It's like software. You don't own software. You license it for a very long time, unlimited period of time usually. It's basically like buying something, but you actually don't buy it because you can't resell it. So consumers are probably in the next years they will have to adjust to the idea that they won't have the kind of control and ownership of the things they have purchased like they used to have in the world of purely physical products. So in terms of the policy challenges, what that means is that on one hand you have the challenge of ownership. How do consumers perceive ownership? What can they resell the products that they have bought? Can they change them? Can they borrow them? The other challenge is distribution. When the control over the thing remains with the manufacturer throughout the life cycle of the product, it gives the manufacturer complete control over the way that's being distributed, which means, it means monopolies in distribution or in the retail sector. So what we've been talking to policymakers like Gerald about is that there's a certain need to address further public policy focus on these concepts, ownership and distribution in the context of the Internet of Things. And there's really important work in terms of the interoperability and standardization that contributes to making sure that the economy stays open in the distribution chain, also in the years to come. This was sort of like my short introduction to our philosophical approach to Internet of Things. Thank you very much, and I'm happy to have a conversation later on.